Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Silverstone, the home of British motorsport, for round 10 of FormulaXbox Season 6. We're heading into this one with on the back of Luke taking victory in Austria last time out. And Silverstone always is one for the very best drivers. It's got high speed turns, it really does challenge you, particularly through Maggots and Becketts, through Copse in fact as well, and that old section of circuit which has seen so much exciting, exhilarating action in the past. So it's Luke on top form at the moment heading into this race, but it's RBZ who once again took pole. He's proving to be the king of qualifying with his 5th pole position in a row in what was a wet qualifying session. Britain living up to its billing in terms of providing the wet weather conditions. Not for the race though, as you can see it's nice and sunny, but a 1:43.451 was RBZ's time, like I said, on the intermediate tyres in qualifying. Comundo once again making it RBZ and Comundo on the front row of the grid, just like in Baku, was just a 10th away in the Force India, and it's I said the same front row as we had in Azerbaijan just a few weeks ago. Luke was only 2 tenths away, so he has proven in the past to be potentially a better racer than the qualifier, and ultimately he's in a position in 3rd place there where he can definitely race from. Like I said, he's vying for a 2nd win in a row and what would be a 4th podium in a row as well, something that hasn't been achieved yet this season, so he'll definitely be gunning for that over the course of the afternoon. So, as we gear up now, everyone just going through the final preparations on the grid. As I said, it's RBZ looking to convert his 5th pole position into another race victory. It was taken from him last time out in Austria by Luke, but ultimately he'll hope to pull off another 25-point haul this time around. So, we're left with 2, 3, 4 and 5 red lights. Lights out and away we go. Luke and the Toro Rosso gets a decent start, so does RBZ, but Comundo seems to have got the best of the top 3 as they head now into Abbey. It's Comundo blocks Luke on the way through the corner, and RBZ, who has the whole shot by the looks of things. Luke's going to the inside of Comundo, his head into Village. Comundo's holding out around the outside, that's going to give him the inside line for the loop, and yeah, Luke just can't get the move done for now, so he's going to slot into 3rd. That is, of course, if Sinan doesn't get his way, and he was having a look up the inside in the Renault. So status quo of the top 3 and the top 4 in fact, with Sinan tucking in behind in P4. So it's RBZ from Comundo, from Luke, from the Renault of Sinan, and replays now of the start from further back on the field as you see Drastic Midget getting away in P8 in the middle of 2 cars there between Casey and Monster heading towards turn 1. That's not the most comfortable of situations, and we see Casey got nerfed by Monster there, who just about gave him enough room, but certainly frightened him off the road by the looks of things. So work to do for Casey, who of course is in the championship fight along with Luke and RBZ at the moment, so he'll want to make up that ground as soon as possible to make sure that it's going to be a damage limitation effort, to be fair, you have to say, even from now. As we see on board with prototypbudgie, KGibbsGP just ahead, and Craig Senna, who is making his debut this time out, ahead as well. The Sauber of Warrior goes around the outside of prototypbudgie there as they head into Village. He nearly hit the back of Craig Senna there as well, did well to avoid that, and as they head through the loop now, as we see prototypbudgie slotting in P13 and Kev on his outside, but as you saw, caught a glimpse there of actually Casey dropped all the way to the back of the field, and we're on board now with RBZ, who's under pressure as they head into Copse. He's got Comundo on the outside, he's hit Comundo, the Force India's off the road, RBZ's just about kept it intact. As we see now, there were nearly 3 wide on the way into Copse there. Luke thought better of it, and in the end it served him well as Comundo went off the road. He's got a good run on RBZ now as they head towards Maggots and Becketts, but the Haas just about holds the Toro Rosso off. But it's all getting very tight up ahead, as we saw there Comundo coming off worse, and he's dropped well down the field now. It's RBZ, he's got Luke in the tow though, he goes to defend. Luke's going to have the outside line as they head towards Stowe. Has he got enough speed to pull this off? Yes he has by the looks of things, but RBZ still hanging on the inside, but no, Luke gets the job done and moves up into 1st place. They had a battle last time out in Austria, it looks like they're going to be battling out once again for the race victory today. As we see again replays further back now, Sam going down the inside of Drastic Midget at Copse, but can't quite get the move done, and we see there Comundo on the left recovering from his little incident with RBZ. So now back to the live action, we've got Drastic Midget go down the inside of Hickey there. That was a late move, very well done from Drastic Midget, but nearly runs the Ferrari out of road on the exit. We'll have to be careful there. Hickey just about stays in the fight, but Drastic Midget gets the move done eventually, and he's now got Monster in his sights. Midge going very well at the moment in the Mercedes, up into P6, as we see Sam, who's not having quite such an easy time of things, being passed by a recovering Komundo on lap 2. So Komundo gets the job done as they head through Brooklands, and it's going to be hard for Sam to hold it out around the outside at Luffield, and thus it proves. But he'll get a better traction as they head towards Copse, but again can't quite get it done for now. Slots in into P11 behind Komundo, so lots of fast guys towards the back of the field. Got K-Gibbs, who's off his hit. Komundo has collected him, and well, I want to see another replay to see what quite happened there. That all happened very, very quickly indeed. You see K-Gibbs recovering and Komundo recovering. In fact, Kev doing well to thread the needle and avoid both of them there. But that was very, very, well, a very interesting incident. I believe K-Gibbs just got on the grass as he heads through Chapel, and it just sucks you in when you get out on the grass there, and ultimately got a swapper on, couldn't catch it, and Komundo was the innocent party collected up in K-Gibbs' incident. So, nightmare for the Force India man. He's had a dreadful first couple of laps, and what was going to be a difficult recovery job has been made all the more difficult, as we're hearing both Komundo and K-Gibbs have dived into the pit lane now. So, as we're watching the action up ahead with Drastic Midget and Hickey battling out, we've got two guys who, as you can see on the map, are currently in pit lane. Drastic Midget holding it out valiantly around the outside of Hickey. He's going to have the inside now for Luffield. The Ferrari's still hanging on around the outside, and this is just the kind of close racing I mentioned way back in the introduction to this race. The configuration of this circuit certainly lends itself to plenty of wheel-to-wheel action as they head towards Copse now. Drastic Midget holds off the Ferrari once again. So going very, very well, as I mentioned earlier, at the moment in P6, Midget, and he does not want to give up that position, as he might have to with Hickey, with some fantastic overspeed using the DRS as they headed down Hanger Straight. But ultimately, Drastic Midget holds firm once again, not allowing Hickey this position very easily at all. And Hickey's going to have the inside now for Club. Surely Drastic Midget's not going to be able to hold him off any longer. He's hanging out around the outside though. This is fantastic stuff between the two of them. Craig Senna in behind them as well. Thinks he might be able to have the pair of them at this rate, the way they're battling it out. Drastic Midget's gone wide though at Abbey. That's going to compromise him heavily through Farm. Yep, Hickey goes by and Senna goes by as well. So that's 2 positions lost for Drastic Midget as we see cut back to the lead battle now. RBZ down the inside of Luke. Luke hanging out around the outside of Brooklands. Again, that's going to give him the inside for Luffield. The two of them side by side, the two title protagonists. How much tension do you want early on in the start of this race? So we've got still side by side as they head through Woodcut now. Luke bails out of it, and well, with RBZ obviously having the outside line, which for Copse you'd imagine that was always going to go one way, and Luke has done well to get out of that one before it ended in carnage. And as we see now later on, is Luke coming back at RBZ. He's been patient with this one, and he's made the move stick around the outside of Stowe. Fantastic reel-to-wheel battle in between the two of them. And that was a fantastic move from Luke to pull that one off, particularly late on the brakes and around the outside, of course. So a double whammy there. Double evidence of Luke's skill and just why he's a champion, the reigning champion in fact. So we see now Sam and Midget resume their battle, and it looks like Sam has got the upper hand at the moment as Midge is really struggling for pace, and Sam's been tagged by Midge there. He's sideways down the Hanger Straight, not the best way of going about that particular part of the circuit, and he's dropped all the way down to P10, make that P11 as Prototype Budgie passes into the McLaren as well, and indeed Kev goes by as well. So Sam down to P12, and it looked like Midge just didn't quite know he was alongside on the outside line. I'm actually going to see a replay now from Midge's perspective. So going through Magus and Beckett's just doesn't quite get the line right, as we see picking up a 3-second time penalty there as well. It was really through Chapel where the damage was done, and he was carrying that pain all the way down the Hanger Straight. Sam with a much better run, and yeah, it just seemed like it just caught him out. The speed that Sam had coming out of the corner, he didn't quite expect him to be as far alongside as he was maybe. And while it was only marginal, I think the stewards will probably be having a look at that one, and certainly Sam, I'd imagine, will be taking that one to the stewards, as we see Kev coming under pressure now from a recovering Sam, and indeed Warrior fighting his way through as well. So Kev, who's struggled for points, as we said so far this season, clutching onto a single point at the moment in P10, but with guys up ahead he'll hope to try and get some places back. And certainly, speaking of getting some places back, Sam wants to get 7th place back off of Prototype Budgie now in the McLaren, who's making his tyres go quite a long way at the moment, and is up into P7, so a good drive from Prototype Budgie at the moment, but he made that P8 as he's demoted by Sam. So Bit of clean air now for the Ferrari man to try and make up some time and get himself back into contention in this race. He really could do with a safety car, to be fair, if he is going to get anywhere, but we'll have to wait and see. It's not out of the question at all, and as this season's proved so far, anything really can happen. As we see Kev and prototypbudgie battling out now for P8. And I said Kev could pick off some guys ahead of him, and it looks like he's going to have a bit of an assault on Scott's P7. So it's RBZ and Luke continuing their battle, and just as I say that, Luke bails out of the fight and dives into the pit lane, so he's going to try and get an undercut on RBZ, and assuming he comes out in clean air, the undercut is pretty powerful here, so it might pay dividend for him, as we see Kevin and prototypbudgie continue their particular squabble over P8, and looks like Kev's got the job done on the McLaren man. So that's Scott into P9, Kev into P8. As we see now from prototypbudgie's perspective, he had the inside line going into Vale, but Kev was just too late on the brakes, and even though the Force India man goes wide, you'll see prototypbudgie just can't quite get the switch back, and he actually gets a puncture. So that's a abrupt end to the battle. I said he was extending that stint by quite some margin, and it looks like it's just a bridge too far, and unfortunately for prototypbudgie, that's now going to hang him out to dry, because it means he's going to have to complete one whole lap with a puncture on his left front. You can see he's already struggling, and that's only through Abbey. He's got a load of corners to go yet before he makes it back into the pit lane. Speaking of the pit lane, as you see, Luke emerges in P2. He retains position, and just as I said, he's going to have clean air. So now it's hammer time for Luke. If he can put in a brilliant outlap, he might be able to jump RBZ in the stops, which could prove pivotal in the context of this race. We're not expecting many more than 2 stops, so it's there's not many opportunities if you are going to gain track position in the pit windows with which to do that. As you see Kev being passed by Sinan now. Kev, of course, hasn't stopped yet. Sinan has moved on to the hard compound tyre. As you see Kev picking up a time penalty there for track limits, and Sinan pulls away. May have the harder tyre, but ultimately is making it work for him at the moment, especially given its fresh rubber. And as we see there, this is crucial. Luke passes RBZ in the stops, and it was hammer time for him, and he has delivered a brilliant lap which has earned him the right to P1 early on here. So RBZ's now got to get the hammer down and try and make the fresher tyres. Only 1 lap fresher tyres, mind you, but he's got to try and make those work and claw in the Toro Rosso. But Luke has taken the high ground in this race, and is now going to be favourite for victory if he can hold off the Haas of RBZ. As we see Drastic Midget and Casey Legend battling out. Casey, of course, dropping well down the order at lap 1 and having to fight his way back through. So he's moved on to the hard compound tyre as well, like Sinan as well in the midfield. So it'll be interesting to see their progress through this middle stint. As we see Sam drops in on the way out of Chapel, he's hit the wall, and a bad day for Sam gets even worse as he's already outside of the points. And he's going to have to make another unscheduled stop, just as you can see, just as he moved onto the soft compound tyres. So not a good day at all for Sam, particularly as he's trying to claw his way back into this championship fight. He was, of course, championship leader for so long at the start of the season, and now in P4 he's ultimately going to struggle to hold on to P4, you'd imagine, given the difficulties experiencing today. And as we see, Drastic Midget gets almost collected by Comundo there. Midget trying to make it into the pit lane, and Comundo just didn't really read the situation, or potentially Midge would have been better off just keeping it pegged and trying to dart ahead of the Force India. He seemed to have a margin there, was maybe a little bit too cautious. But we've seen plenty of incidents so far this season and so far this race, so you can't really blame Midge for being cautious on that occasion. As we see Kev getting out of the way for his teammate Comundo, as Comundo makes his way up into P10 on his recovery drive. As we see Kev making way for the leaders now, so being lapped. There goes Luke, and RBZ will be shortly following, and surely if Kev gets out of it by the looks of things and makes a pit stop. As we see Kev is actually disqualified for receiving multiple penalties. So that'll be track limits. The stewards have taken a dim view, and game over for Kev. So he was out of the side of the points anyway, so it's not totally disastrous for him, but certainly not what he was hoping for today. And like Sam, he's definitely having a difficult time with things. And so Casey Legend now up in P5, make that P6, make that P5 again, as he seems to get the move done on SRL Monster. But Monster's having none of it, hanging out around the outside love field, has to cede the position on this occasion. That was always going to go one way. It's very, very difficult to hold it around the outside of left field just because of the trajectory of the corner. But hold on to P1 he has. He took the lead in the first stops, and he's held on to it for the entire race. Luke takes a second win in a row, his 4th podium in succession, and a very, very well-deserved victory from RBZ, who has to settle for 2nd place today despite another pole position. Sam comes home P11, a difficult day for both Sam and Comundo, 2 of the title protagonists, the outsiders for the Season 6 crown. And you have to say, with Casey recovering to P5 from his first lap dramas, and Luke and RBZ finishing 1 and 2, these 3 are certainly extending their advantage at the top of the standings, and it does begin to look as though it's going to be a 3-horse race for this championship. So another very interesting race there. It was all action packed to begin with, and did eventually fade towards the end. But still plenty of interesting battles, and still plenty of intrigue, and Luke with yet another victory. And like I said, it was always going to be down to those pit stops, given how close Luke and RBZ were on pace, and ultimately getting that undercut. A great call from Toro Rosso has earned Luke a very, very well-earned victory. So looking at the standings, like I said, after that, Luke in the lead of the championship, and has got RBZ and Casey hot on his heels. But I hope you've enjoyed this one. Please leave your thoughts in the comment section below, guys. And until next time, until we see you again in what will be Hungary, we shall see you very soon. Goodbye.